Baruch atah Adonai lemelech haolam shehakol niv'e b'arei.
Amen.
Chaim l'chaim.
Amen.
Today's learning in honor of Refuah Shlema, Refuah Kreva, full and speedy recovery. Yeshaya ben Chaya, right?
Yes, amen.
Chaim l'chaim should be gesund and well.
Amen.
Okay, so we are explaining in the Hasidic discourse that we're learning what it means to be a remembrance to the first day. Rosh Hashanah is a remembrance to the first day of creation. Not when we say the beginning of your works, which is the day of Rosh Hashanah itself, which is the sixth day of creation. And why is it the beginning of your works? Because that's why God did the whole kit and caboodle. He created in 6 days everything for us, that we can have a relationship with God, that we could choose that relationship, and that we have the impact in that choice. We should be aware that we have an impact that we can make. We do make, not just down here, but even in the spiritual realm. Yet the Zichron L'Yom Rishon is then something added, a remembrance to the first day of creation. Well, what was different about the first day of creation is that God's desire then was not based on anything that we precipitate or we did, because there was no us. So it's Chafetz Chesed, that he desires kindness. And he desires kindness because he desires kindness. And that's why the first day is called the first day of creation, is because the revelation of that desire of his kindness that illuminated on that day, light and revelation, right? What was the first day? Vehiyor, let there be light. And this is the cause, the root for the attribute of kindness, that from it, the entire world gets created. And he wants revelation, revelation of ultimately of godliness. Yes. Okay, let's understand that. So this is in every Rosh Hashanah, we remember the creation that was on the first day. That's what this phrase is saying. A remembrance to the first day. That then illuminated a revelation of God's desire for kindness. Right. Again, something that was not elicited by us, nothing that we did, you know, what goes up must come down. In other words, our divine service goes up and a light comes down, a divine light, divine energy. Well, the first day, there's nothing to go up. But so this idea that we remember the first day, through this, we draw this revelation down. That's what it means to remember. We don't, when we remember, we reenact. And this makes it even greater than the fact that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of God's actions of creation, because as actions, the final thing, the final purpose is us and the actions we take down here that we make an impact, is because that was based on us. And our awakening from within. And, as much as we awaken, as much as we are attuned, as much as we're aligned, as much as, we engage, well, that will bring, based on that will elicit from on high. So it's got some limitations. But on the first day, well, it was God's revelation of his desire. And that light, that revelation of the first day, is the root source. Oh, welcome. Oi. I think, is there enough? Maybe there's still some hot water there. There isn't there. Not enough? So yeah, I'll get you water from upstairs. Maybe there's something left in there. There isn't? At the bottom, usually there is. L'chaim, l'chaim. No. All right. As they say, it was good to the last drop. All right. So, on the first day was the revelation of his desire for kindness, which is a light, a revelation, the first revelation, and which is the cause then for all of the rest of creation from above to below. Meaning that it's coming from above, from God, not based on me or you or any of us. As much as we put in, that's what we get out. But here it's based on God. Well, what he puts in is beyond creation. It's limitless. And that's what we have the capability, right? So that's what the remembrance of the first day. We bring that reality back to the world. In other words, something that's based on God from his stead, not based on what I elicit, what I manage to put together and bring up. As the mist goes up, the rain comes down, right? That's the natural order of creation. Our divine service elicits from above. But here, remembering the first day, no, it didn't work that way. It was precipitated. It was his desire based on him. Well, based on him, and then it's limitless. And that is greater. So when the Jewish people do their service, their divine service, meaning in this instance, the reference being that we remember the first day of creation, we draw down this revelation, we reach to the root source of God's desire of his own desire, not based, right? Like a parent, when a child is acting really nice, so the parent responds in kind, right? But this is not based on the child of the Jewish people. This is based on God himself, which is beyond and limitless. Parent, maybe that metaphor doesn't work so well. But it could. So it's beyond what our divine service is able to reach. So how are we able to draw it then? What is our remembering effect? That God chose on the first day his kindness is the source for all of creation thereafter, that it should be revealed light on that day. And it had nothing to do with us, right? There was no us then. Adam wasn't yet created. So how's it possible? Because the root source of the Jewish soul is even beyond God's desires. Desire is already a movement, right? When you have a desire, like, take a little baby, right? The first thing that they have is not feelings, not not feelings that are at least, yeah, my baby can cry because it's hungry. So yes, because of the hunger, so it's feeling, I don't know if to call that, just a very instinctual feeling. Not feeling compassion, a baby. It's not having any intelligent understanding of something that leads it to a feeling, oh, I want to learn Tanya because it understands the greatness of Tanya. It doesn't have that. What does it have then? Desire. You play the little play thing, and its playpen or in its seat, and it goes around, and it wants to grab it. Why does it want to grab it? Because it wants. There's a wanting. Wanting means you're seeking something. That's the first thing. So the root source of the Jewish soul is beyond even God's desire that he wants kindness. Beyond that. Even vis-a-vis creation. As is known, the Medrash says, that when God wanted to create the world, before wanting kindness, now kindness is already something very specific, but he wanted to create the world. So he took counsel in the souls of the righteous, and the entire nation is righteous. And that's what aroused the desire, a secondary desire, not a primary desire, right? A secondary desire, which is kindness, right? It's secondary because, well, think about the baby, right? It doesn't want because of kindness. That's already very narrow and specific. So there's it wants, God wants. What does he want? He's aroused to have a desire for kindness because it arose in his thought, an essential thought that's beyond the desire, right? Beyond the desire of even being kind, the desire for kindness, that in the future, the Jewish people would fulfill Torah mitzvahs and make a dwelling place for God in this world. That prompted him to want kindness. So it's a little, I don't know, inverted is the right word, but yeah, probably, au contraire from the way we would intuitively think. No. God wanted divine service of the Jewish people, in particular. Torah and mitzvahs, we make a dwelling place for God. And that produced a desire for creation. and to reveal on the first day light. Therefore, through the divine service of, of, of Israel, we draw, we make, we create. Also, this revelation of his desire for kindness. So what comes out of this is it's understood that the revelation of God's desire for kindness, which is based on him, meaning it's not limited. In other words, it's a giving. Kindness is a giving, right? It's a giving that's not limited, um, how much I'm deserved, shall we say, which is based on my divine service. But this form of divine service, right, is today, through our actions in divine service, this is greater than what was even originally in creation, in his personal desire to create light on the first day and to reveal something of him in the first day of creation. This is greater now. Why? Because when we do something today in our divine service, we're in fact giving a divine pleasure, which meaning that God said, hey, learn Chassidus, and you're doing it. God said, pray, and you're doing it. God said, give charity, and you're doing it. The fact that you're doing it means you're actually giving divine pleasure, which was not there on the first day of creation. There's no divine pleasure, divine kindness that was precipitated and began with God and not from us. But the only reason that that was there is because eventually, hey, we're giving divine kindness, a divine pleasure now to God, to what we're doing. And that divine pleasure that we're giving to God is to the core of God, even beyond his desire for kindness. Because the desire for kindness may not be a core expression of the individual. Well, this is beyond that, at least. This is to the core essence. In other words, the fact that we're fulfilling God's will, doing the mitzvahs that he commanded us to do, and we're engaged in it. We're touching the very core of God. Beyond his desire to be kind. So, and as a result of that, we do reveal that desire for his kindness. We arouse it, we awaken it, we draw it down through our divine service. Wow. And this then becomes the inner reason of why before Rosh Hashanah, sorry, this is why first we say, this is the day of the beginning of your actions, and then we say Yom Zichron. Because to remember the first day after the beginning of our actions, two things tie together now. In other words, there is the beginning of my actions. My actions matter. They make the impact. And that's the first thing. Knowing that I make that impact, now to what extent is that impact? It's beyond even ultimately. In other words, the impact I'm making in the world, I'm making in the spiritual world. But then there's something, because I did that and I created a divine pleasure, the divine pleasure touching the core of essence of God, that brings even more then, because then that brings a revelation of God's kindness that is limitless and not based even on what I did. It's based on what I did by giving divine pleasure, but then what's elicited is, a limitless form of kindness, and even greater than what was initially by God in his act of creation on the first day. Wow, powerful. Okay, folks.